I'm finding that rather suspect.
I find it's super sus.
Oh boy.
We got Patrick in already. Hello, Fraley. An awesome LMA. That's what we're waiting for. I don't know if we have one tonight. We'll see. It's all on Robert. It's all up to him.
and I did not pick the topic. I'd like to point that out.
Well, I think you did suggest another class topic, though, didn't you?
I did suggest going back to class topics.
Yeah, okay. So that's it. You're splitting hairs now, my friend.
Let's see.
Hello, lovelies. We'll jump right into it. It's a short 1 hour show tonight, running right into Jay, but it's going to be a fun topic, I think. So we'll let everyone get settled. And then we'll go live with video. LMA 88. Crazy, crazy, crazy. We're going to be at 100 soon. That's going to be fun. Rob, what should I do when I get to 100?
LMA 100. Oh, wait. 88 to 100?
It's 12. Yeah. Hey, Fraley, I don't know. You did not pay for anything. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
That is going to be right around Christmas time.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. It is. Yeah.
So I'm thinking as a Christmas present, we've got to bring back, paladin, anti-paladin discussion. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I need to give you another drubbing.
Maybe do that for 99. Yeah. I don't know, we need something special for 100.
You need another proper drubbing, do you?
Hey, listen, I don't remember that being a drubbing.
But I do. So that's.
I'm challenging your memory and your use.
Well, you well should. That's fair. My memory tends to be self-aligned.
All right, so I just found a PDF for the player's handbook, and oh yeah, monks were in the player's handbook.
Yes, they were.
Ooh,
All right. If but the 5 of us watch tonight, we shall still have a grand time. And here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Blue box. Loremaster's Arcanum. Episode 88. Monks. Warriors of the Mind. Thank you. Tonight I'm joined by my always august guest. And look, man, our everything's on point. Everything looks good. Robert, I like it when a plan comes together. Robert Phantom, he's fresh off the plane, having visited our great friends Mike and Manda. And Rob, before we get into the content tonight, just tell us about the trip. Anything you'd like to share? I know Manda's already on. Mike might be lurking. I love the fact that there are connections happening in the community. And maybe you could start off with that before we jump into the topic.
I mean, first of all, I can't thank Mike and Manda enough for having me there for, it ended up being 5 days. And it's like there's a lot of board games. There was some gift giving because we were splitting the difference between Mike and Manda's birthdays. So there's some gift giving going on. Some miniatures paintings, lots of board games, more board games. Some board games that let's be real, there's enough board games that even if you took out the board games that we decided this just isn't working, there were still a lot of board games.
You just said board games like 7 times in 3 sentences. That was awesome.
Because there might have been at least 7 board games played or attempted. We had a couple that we realized this is gonna take more time than it's worth, and we opted out and went to something else. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a good time. I'm still not used to southern weather. September, just
you weakling. Weakling.
The humidity. I was melting. I was melting pretty good.
Yeah, it was very humid down where you were.
Oh yeah, it was incredibly humid.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Marvel board game. The Marvel that game board was impressive, and of course we got to use all the figures that Manda painted for it. It's a pretty cool game, and I am definitely going to need to pick that up at some point, if no for another reason to point the minis. We played a Marvel card game as well. Yeah, and a lot of good food. We came up with a list. Amanda gave me a list of different things to choose from.
All right, Amanda, in the chat, like what were the best food items you provided? What kind of meals did you guys have? And while she's popping that in chat, we're going to talk about monks here in a moment. But I want to shout out Virtual Greyhawk Con coming up here at the end of the month, September 30th through October 2nd. And all the streams are up and live. Get into VGHC on the TTE setup. You can join many. There are still open slots, and you should join those. It's going to be so much fun. Rob, I'm excited. You're running a game.
Both of my games still have 2 slots left.
Oh, okay, yeah. So talk about both your games.
So I've got for those of you who are midnight owl, late night owls, or happen to live on the West Coast, I have a game the Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, so 8 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to be running a Castle Crusades version of White Plume Mountain, one of the classic D&D adventures.
And you missed it last night. I gave this away.
No.
I literally gave this away last night.
So yeah, we're going to be doing White Plume Mountain because it's one of those things where we'll go as it doesn't really require an ending, so we'll go as far as the players are willing to stay up, and then on Sunday, Sunday morning, for those of you who are early risers at 7 a.m. I'm running actually Troll Lord Games Castle and Crusades adventure Shadows of a Green Sky, that I am placing somewhere in the world of Greyhawk. I believe I'm putting in the Kingdom of Keeland.
What time again?
Yeah, that is 7 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday morning.
So 6 my time Sunday morning, and that goes for how long?
That goes for 4 hours.
Ooh. I would love to join. That would take us into church time for me. So, anyone want to give those 2 times again? I would love to get someone in the chat to say they can sign up, because if you've seen Robert, he's an amazing DM. In fact, I call him for tips. I did that today. So, those 2 times are the Sunday and then the
Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. So 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 8 Pacific, and then Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 Pacific.
Oh, wow, that was confusing, but you get the idea. So you can join Robert. He's a great DM. My slots are all full, but I'm actually intimidated now, Robert. My kryptonite has joined the chat. And you probably didn't get to see too much, but my kryptonite is named just plain Cameron.
Cameron's not a kryptonite. Cameron is an absolute joy.
Which makes her my kryptonite as a DM. She was in my stream on Sunday, and she was just so disarmingly charming. I was losing my DM skills. I was trying to intimidate, and she would say something in response, and I would just oh yes, okay, go ahead.
We also watched the Sunday stream on big screen.
Oh, you did?
We were doing something at the time as well, but we might have been eating lunch or something like that, or breakfast. But we were, we watched we were watching the Sunday stream.
I know. I'm not surprised. You guys are awesome. All right, so let's jump into it. We have a limited time tonight. Yes, you are just that, Cameron, but you are awesome, and you crushed it, as did Rachel, the whole crew. I've gotten so many compliments on that Sunday crew. Last night we had a good time, and now let's jump into the monk. All right, so Rob, you admitted not a lot of experience with monks, so I'm showing you here Dragon Mag 53. And on LMA, I like to go back to some of these old school Dragon Mags. You can find them on the Anon Archive. And 53 is highlighted with a hard look at monks. Now we're gonna do some fun stuff tonight. We'll look at some silly parts of this Dragon Mag. This is from 1981, right? So before most of you were born. This was 41 years ago. This was published, and the content is amazing. The artwork. Look at this cover. It's incredible. All the artwork that they did was so awesome. Yeah, totally before you were born. Yes. Everyone's disavowing their age. I love that. But no, it's such a gorgeous edition. You can find this again online. But monks are featured in this. Before we get to the monks, though, I always like going through. Wait, let's skip over that. That looks like a dinosaur with the. Let's script. Here we go. Ice. So, Rob, I like putting my fellow LMA hosts on the spot. What is ice? It's close to MERP. MERP, you hear me talk about MERP. So think Middle-earth role-playing. My crit tables, the publishers of MERP were... No, he's not. No, it's not. It's not Vanilla Ice. That is not right. Sampling David Bowie is not the answer to this question. No.
That hurts me to this very day. I will never not be disappointed hearing that intro and then finding out it's Vanilla Ice.
Wait. Okay. While the chat is deciding, I'm not lying, and I don't ever call out my wife on stream because, well, that's not a good recipe for marriage. But we were at a cross country meet this weekend, and it was playing, and David Bowie was singing, and my wife looked over and said, "Is that Vanilla Ice? Is that Ice Baby sample?" Yes, it is. Of course it is. All right. I'm probably sleeping on the couch tonight. All right. No. So what is ice in this context? No one can answer here. Yes, dear God. I know. No one can answer? What is ice?
Don't remember.
All right. Don't Google. Can no one... I'll give it to you in 30 seconds if no one can answer. This was the group behind the Middle-earth role-playing system. All the crit tables. I held up my janky crit tables last night. I still use for fumbles because Tim's fumbles are weak. So the Middle-earth role-playing, the company behind it. So think of like D&D had TSR. ICE was TSR to MERP. And it stood for... Okay, I'm going to give up. Iron Crown Enterprises. And so that was the ICE group that published all the stuff for Middle-earth role-playing, and then what they called Rolemaster, which was the more advanced version of it. Spell Law, Arms Law, Iron Wind, based out of Charlottesville, Virginia. This was a fantastic company. I still have some of their content. And these Dragon Mags, again, this stuff is free, and you can get so many ideas as a DM from this content. Rob, I'll stop there and let you redeem yourself.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Back then, I was for a while, I was a one-trick pony. It was D&D or bust. So, I vaguely remember, like other TSR product. It's like I remember the other TSR products, but not many of the other companies that were putting out stuff at the time.
That makes sense.
If it wasn't something I could use, or I wasn't aware that I could use. Anyway, I wasn't bothering.
You know what? I'm going to do an upcoming LMA on the old school ice stuff and MERP because you talk about gritty. People call Pathfinder Mathfinder and think of that stuff. Iron Crown MERP was like, it was so detailed. It was very, very difficult to absorb and learn. So it would not be for the...
If we want to do that, one day we'll go through first edition rules as written combat.
All right. Rob, Manda, my resident keeper of all good things. This is a showdown. Rob thinks that original first edition combat can compare to original Ice Rolemaster. It's going to be a bloodbath when I show him this.
No, I'm not. I have no basis in comparison.
Back off.
Hey, listen. No, I don't. I have no idea what Ice was like, but I mean, first edition AD&D. Let's put it this way: you had to have tables because Thaco wasn't really a thing yet. So you had to have tables just to figure out damage, hitting and damage and speeds and between speed factors and all the other stuff. Oh yeah, for math geek that I was back then. It was a joy.
This is going to be such a great LMA. Hopefully next week, as soon as we can. We need to do it. It's going to be fun.
I need.
I do too.
I have to be able to get back to my books. That's the thing. If I don't have my books, I'm not going to be able to do it.
No, fair enough. All right, so no, I'll pull it. It's all on the internet, right? You can find it. So let's jump into this. Before we jump into monks, which we're already now 15 minutes in. Sorry guys, but I just love these old Dragon mags. Sometimes here on LMA, we just chat. So oftentimes you would see articles from Gary Gygax or others, and then the contents. But this one here, I love the letters to the editor. So look at this one, Rob. High-handed. Dear editor, I've been a DM for 3 years and a faithful reader of your... This is 1981, right? So the game is new. A faithful reader of your magazine for years. However, in recent issues, I've noticed something that is disturbing me. Why do you persist in publishing only new NPCs? Why not let your readers have some player characters instead? Very challenging. I love this. So skip down. He does talk about anti-paladins, witches, samurais. The highlight here, in Dragon 49, so 2 episodes before, or 3, 4, the Samurai article, it says, in accordance with the magazine's policy, Samurai is presented as a non-player character. And then he goes on to say, who do you think you are? I love that. I love that. So Adam Rosenblatt, wherever you are today, it's been, I'm not trying to call you out, bro, 41 years later, but I love your chutzpah to call out the publishers of Dragon Magazine on who they think they are. The response is fun, but I'll stop there and let Rob respond. Like, NPCs versus PCs. Even in some of our current stuff, we have, let's look at Jay's game, who I've adopted many things from. There is sometimes a distinction between what can be a PC or an NPC. Thoughts, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I'm reading the next line after "Who do you think you are?" and if you read TTRPG Twitter, it'd be the same thing that you see where it says, "You have no right to dictate how we DMs run our own campaigns." Yes, well, then what are you arguing about? No.
Exactly, and that is the response. So here's the response that came from TSR at the time. So back off, Jack, and listen up as I quote from the preface of the Dungeon Master's Guide. As the creator and ultimate authority in your respective game, this work is written as one master, Dungeon Master equal to another. So in other words, they're saying you're right. And don't stop sweating us. I love this in the old Dragon mags. You don't get this kind of organic, player, gamer feedback from creators, even online. This is so cool. Anyway, all right, moving on. The chat, do you like that, chat? Or you think this is a waste of time? I'll move on. I thought it was fun. Why isn't this monk smiling? This is the article in this Dragon mag. And... it's got some cool artwork. And this monk is not smiling because he's got a lot to kick about. So, of all the character classes, monks are the most difficult to qualify for. Now, this is 1E, and you had some of the Unearthed Arcana sort of hybrid between 1 and 2 that was already happening here. But their strength, wisdom, and dex all had to be strong. So, Rob, we're going to talk about 1E monks, we're going to talk about 3.5E monks, and we can even talk about 5E monks. But let's really go back to the roots of the monk, and you mentioned it earlier. When you think of a monk, what comes to mind for you? Like tropes you could copy, inspiration for characters?
By the way, I want to touch on the when it says has to be strong. It had to be strong. It was ridiculous. The first edition AD&D monk needed a 15 strength, a 15 wisdom, and a 15 dexterity, and an 11 constitution.
Yeah, and so that's yes, and that's all here. Yeah, you're exactly right. Yes.
But 15, 15, 15. It's like, yeah, this goes back to the idea is like, well, some of that's like, all right, everybody better be rolling in front of the DM because most DMs are going to look at those rolls and say, no, you didn't get that. I want to see them. That's how it was back then. It's
right.
Like, yeah. Sure, you got those rolls.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so like I said, maybe it's because I grew up a good Catholic boy. When I first started monk, It wasn't until I read like further into the class that I realized that no, they were not talking about monks from a monastery, or well, not a Western monastery anyway, but the Eastern, um, you know Shaolin or whatever, what have you, whatever the aesthetic they were going for. It was kind of felt kind of odd to me, because it was very different from everything else in terms of the player's handbook.
Right, and you had a supplement, which is, I mentioned it before the stream, but it is, probably not appropriate anymore in terms of terminology, but it's called Oriental Adventures. It was really based on East Asian cultures, a lot of appropriation. It was not really properly built out, but it was trying to bring something different to the game. And the monk
that came
right.
some that wasn't until 85,
right,
late 85.
Right.
So the player's handbook had already been out, what, 8 years?
Yeah. The original monk was more whitewashed, like just organically great. But then when they came out with Oriental Adventures, then there was this whole book of other ways to play the game. And so if you look at this, I think one of the most interesting things is you mentioned the Shaolin. So when you say Shaolin, what comes to mind, Robert?
And like I said, it was like the only one that came to mind.
You are failing. Here it is on screen for you. Kung Fu. David Carradine.
Thank you. I pictured the person and I couldn't remember the show.
Yeah, and of course David Carradine was not even of any Asian descent, and this was again some cultural appropriation. So please, I don't mean to offend anyone tonight, but the point is, if you were growing up in America, this was your first experience many times in common media with what was a monk, and the Shaolin monk. Walking across the rice paper. If you can, Robert, if you can.
What?
Oh, come on. You are failing so hard.
I'm like,
if you can. Come on, anyone in the chat. If you can. I know someone's going to. Take the pebble from my hand. Thank you, Manda. Exactly.
Okay. I have a confession to make.
Okay.
I have never seen an actual episode of Kung Fu.
You have lost your geek card, bro.
Wait. Hold on. And the thing is, though, all those stuff that in terms of like all the, as far as Kung Fu and it was all from the imported movies that would be shown on local television on Saturdays and Sunday, basically Sunday afternoons or Saturday afternoons. They'd have a movie per week, and I remember watching loads and loads of them. I never actually watched Kung Fu.
I remember watching Kung Fu, I think on like TV5 with the rabbit antennas as a kid. And Manda, you've never seen it, but you knew the answer. So if you can take the pebble from my hand, he said, and then the response that came from his master was, it will be, if you can take the pebble from my hand, it will be. And this is not a good example of monks. It's just how many of us grew up here in the U.S. understanding monks. So that's my only point. So Kwai Chang Caine, Grasshopper, was a Shaolin monk. And if you were a kid in the 70s, 80s, you saw this stuff on TV, and that was your first real experience with, most likely, other than one other. If you can take the pebble, no one in the chat. Oh my gosh. If you can take the pebble from my hand. You did the Rabbiters too, Tracy? Yes, we all had those. Hey, Jay, maybe you can help us. So we're talking, the influence of monks, and as we're getting into the details of them, we're talking Kwai Chang Caine. It will be time for you to go. You're close, Manda. She said leave. He would say, if you can take the pebble from my hand, it will be time for you to go. And that was always his challenge, and he could never do it. Now, the other influence that you have, and we're going to get back into the mechanics of the game and the Dragon Magazine, but you mentioned it earlier. Thank you, Celtic Boar. Good to see you, Scott, my friend. you could not have thought anything about martial arts in the U.S., and please don't think there is any effort at appropriation or changing narratives, but this is just what we would see here in the U.S. on TV and in movies. You could not think of martial arts without who, Rob?
Oh, Bruce Lee. I mean, that's...
Bruce Lee. Well said. And so when you Enter the Dragon, yes, John, that's exactly right. Bruce Lee, that's right, Jay. So, all these influences that were growing with us as we grew up in the game. So the first time we thought about D&D as something that was more than, okay, I'm a paladin with a sword, or I'm a wizard, or I'm a cleric with healing. Oh, wait, I can do something different. I can play something from a different culture. I can use shuriken or nunchucks or other sorts of weapons, and then we get to the power of the mind. So, Rob, I feel like I'm driving the conversation too much. I really want you to kind of take and push, even if it's just saying, you don't agree or your experiences were different. But what do you think about all of this? And do you agree that this was pushing you in terms of your understanding of what a monk was at that time?
Yes, no. I mean, yes, no. It gave me. Let's put it this way: as unfortunate as some of the stuff in Oriental Adventures was when it came out, that is what drew me in originally. The different various kung fu movies, but I can't say that as far as the monk class itself. I can't say it had a strong pull because of shows or movies. It like I said, it just seemed very, very off for the kind of game that I was running, up until OA came out. It really didn't fit in.
Which is what I liked about it. I still come back to the core. I had one of my players recently say, like, you can play all kind. You can do Space Jammer. You can do spell. You can do planar stuff. You can do Western stuff. You can do different cultures and timelines. But I think there's something that always draws us back to that medieval sort of Tolkien-esque world. And I like dabbling in these others, but when you can bring that in, it's kind of fun. And that's what I like about Dark Sun as well, because it really brings a different flavor into a Tolkien-esque world. All right, so just check out some of the stuff they could do. So, to your point, the odds of even rolling up such a character at that time and the various cheating methods in Dungeon Master's Guide, it was very, very difficult to get those stats. The Grand Master of Flowers can reasonably claim to be the most powerful fighter around, able to inflict 128 points of damage in a single round. This was how the original monk class was built. But they were severely handicapped by armor class. They couldn't wear any sort of armor, and of course you had things like natural armor, which came later. That was not a thing back in 1E, but you could not make any other adjustments beyond dexterity. But then the ability to stun or kill an opponent is next to worthless at lower middle level, because the monk's chances of doing that damage is so small. But as they got up in level, that monk could do a lot more damage, and they could really crush their opponents. And then you had things like the first magic item a monk would want to offset those things: the regeneration ring, bracers of defense, I would say now also amulet of natural armor, or cloak of displacement. All those things really help build that 1E monk. So I'll pause there for the chat or for Robert to respond before I move on.
So now one of the interesting things about the monk is the fact that it went up so high in level. Like not all of the first edition character classes ended at the same level. Monk went all the way up to level 17.
21 in this. In this Dragon Man, all the way up to 21.
Huh. Okay, because the Grandmaster of Flowers is level 17.
Yeah. So you see these special abilities, Robert? I don't know if you can see this on your screen. They go all the way up to you, and that would run all the way through level 21. And we'll get to some of those. But yeah, this was...
Wait, hold on a second. I'm looking at something...
Now, again, this is Dragon Mag 81, so this would not be the original player's handbook.
Okay, because they change it because the movement rates are different
Right.
there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Dragon Mag, like so much that wound up in Unearthed Arcana, and then of course then fed into 2 and 3.5. You have Monks Unchained, which we'll talk about in a moment. All those things grew from that original base 1E. And I thought this was a great, because the monks were kind of weak, especially at lower levels in the original 1E. And so this was their effort to sort of balance the game. So if you look here, each of these skills, and this is the stuff I like to bring into my game. Even if I'm playing 3.5 with 5e elements, if I have a character that comes to me and say, I want to play a monk, and I want to leverage this skill set and these abilities from Dragon Mag 53, I'm going to do a happy dance. I'm going to say, yes, let's figure out how to make it work. I love that. Like a Cavalier, which I did with Shorewind, or like the Barbarian, which I've done in my game as well. These old school sort of, they were unbalanced in a sense, but the unbalance brought great context to the game.
So interesting thing. Go back to the table, going the level table for this.
Right there.
So with the levels, get back up to there. So one of the things that they changed in here, and I'm curious as to if they changed how hit points work, because the hit points, the monks were on a D4 hit die, but they got 2 at first level, so they could have a max of 8 plus Constitution bonus.
Let me pull that. I thought they were D6. Yeah, 6-sided dice for accumulated hit. Yeah, they're D6.
Okay, so basically what they did here, what it looks like they did was they made them a little beefier.
Right.
And they also made them a little harder to hit. Which is coming back to remember the title of the article, which was, why isn't this monk smiling? He's got a lot to kick about. So they realized the monk was really kind of weak, and they beefed it up. But the other thing that they did, what they did do is they slowed down the progression by moving it to 21, because the damage levels that you have at level 21 on the Dragon Magazine monk is the same as level 17 on the Player's Handbook monk.
Oh, in other words, matching to like Master of Winter, or what are you referring to? The experience points?
Grandmaster of Flowers is level 17 in the Player's Handbook, and it's got a movement of 32, and open hand damage, 4 attacks and open hand damage of 8 to 32.
Okay, so look at these.
It's actually level 21 here.
Right. So if you look, but I think they added so much more
here, I should say.
Right.
And even here, the movement is not as good.
Right. Movement only 30, which I'm okay with that. But look at what they added. Yeah. So each of these levels, you have molecular manipulation. You have resistance to charm and hypnosis. You have retarded aging, like a phylactery of long years, body control, quivering palm, of course. That's the most famous monk ability. We've all known about that. Speak with plants, dimension door, mind bar. But then as you get up in levels, astral projection, object reading, plane shifting, tower of iron will. These were all abilities a monk could get as he leveled up, making him a pseudo warrior, but as we said in the title of the stream, the warrior of the mind. He could do so much more than just combat.
The first edition monk did have abilities that they get as they leveled, though.
They did.
Speak with animals, ability to resist ESP.
All right, so resisting ESP. This is fun, and another topic for LMA, Robert. Much of what you see here, ESP, that grew in the game. So look at point E. So point E, that ability would be gained at level 5, and the monk would have body equilibrium as the psionic ability. Psionics really changed the game, and they got kind of phased out later. So I would like to do another LMA on psionics and talk about the entire sort of psionic idea, which was mind power beyond arcane, beyond divine, and that was what the monks could tap into.
That'll take some prep, because there's a bunch of iterations of that in They kept fiddling with it. Yeah.
The highest your 1E monk got, Scott, was 8th. Yeah, pretty good. We're going to talk about the Pathfinder version Unchained monks here in a second, because I've actually played with one of those, or I've DM'd a player who had one of those.
And CNC does have a monk.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've got that guide. Well, yeah, so you know what? I didn't even think to talk. Let's do that. So let's talk about the CNC monk. So I've got the guide here, and Rob, you can pull it up on PDF. But what would you say about the CNC monk? So the summary they have is that they are warriors who primarily rely on strength of their bodies and the willpower for survival. So the willpower is sort of the idea I was pushing here, which is warriors of the mind. They're deadly combatants, and they have they've honed their bodies to lethal weapons. So going to the CNC guide.
So one of the fun things about the CNC monk, and I don't know how much they based it off of the the 3rd edition or 3.5 monk. Things like doing fun stuff like deflecting or dodging missile weapons, basically stun attacks. And their movement rate picks up really quickly.
That happens a lot in 3.5
per round.
Yeah, that happens a lot in 3.5. So just finishing up here on the sort of modified 1E from Dragon Mag, I did like this Defining and Realigning the Monk article in the same magazine by Stephen Howard. And he said, probably the most common reaction I've heard among the AD&D players to the monk class is, oh yeah, monks. They're kind of a cross between clerics and thieves, right? Ranking second in frequency is, play a monk? No thanks. I'd like to live to see a second level. Besides, I want to keep my treasure. And besides that, the third most common reaction is, hey, this character could be a monk, that's great. But I've always wanted to act as one of those Bruce Lee movies. So what we talked about earlier. And he goes into many of those tropes. And we don't have time to go through this today, but I just want to encourage anyone, especially new players, don't shy away from these articles. They're fun to read. There's all kinds of fun articles and visuals and artistry. These are a treasure trove of great content. But that is sort of the 1E, then 1E modified version of the monk. All right, Rob. Let's talk the Unchained monk. Pathfinder, which is, AD&D 3.5 with a lot of crunchy options. And this is the Unchained monk. And I think this is a really good example of how to bring the power of a monk into the current game. But it is, as all of Pathfinder is, very crunchy, meaning lots of abilities, lots of skills, lots of stats, lots of math. You have key powers here, which are core to this game. So the key powers grow as you level up, and those key powers can include things like Flurry of Blows. You have bonus feats that grow. And so let me make this a little smaller. Have you seen or worked with any of these sorts of monk abilities, Rob?
The closest I've come to some of this is the CNC version.
Okay, so let's compare. So at first level, a monk in 3.5 or Pathfinder can do 1d6 unarmed damage. So the fist of the monk is good for 1d6.
Kind of fine. Where is it? It would be nice if they had. Okay, here it is. So for first level in CNC, it would only be 1d4.
1d4, that's what I thought, yeah. So here, 1d6 plus, they get a +1 at base level for a base attack bonus, which is like a fighter, and they have +2 to fort and reflex saves, would be like con and dex. But they also get Flurry of Blows, Stunning Fist, and Unarmed Strike. So Flurry of Blows Let me open that in a new tab here. Oh, these are not opening.
Yeah, so
I have to scroll down.
Not first edition, for first level, the actually, what's the hit die for
in this version, I believe it's a D8. Let me double check here.
Okay, so
yeah, it's a D8.
Yeah, so the monk in Castle and Crusades.
No, it's a D10. It's a D10. Sorry, my bad.
The monk in Castle and Crusades is D12.
Okay.
They get their fast movement, so 35 feet around. They get a +1 to a whole bunch of saves. Skills called Iron.
Why do I feel like you're trying to fight me on which monk is better now? It's like...
I'm assuming the Stunning Fist is very similar to the stun attack, stun once per round, and per level. All
right. So no, wait. Hold on. This is great. Let's go. So, what is the? And honestly, I don't care. You know, I'm not an addition guy. Unless it's fourth, I don't care. So. In Pathfinder, what is the logic comparing it to Castles and Crusades to give a D12 to a monk? Why? So that's like a barbarian, hit die. So why would a monk have a D12?
It's kind of funny. The prime attribute for a monk in Castles and Crusades is Constitution, and I think the general idea is that they're so focused on becoming one with their, basically honing their body into a weapon that it just strengthens their resistance to everything, including damage, being able to absorb more damage.
Okay, yeah. Look, and again, I'm a huge fan of CNC and TLG, of course, but I honestly like this structure better. I think the monk... Yes, they can have power, and they do hone their body, but they base that on the wisdom, the power of the mind, which is the whole point of the show tonight. And my view is that monks spend time in meditation. They spend time honing not just the body, but the mind. The mind turns into these key powers, which I think are fantastic in 3.5. And these key powers can include Flurry of Blows. So Flurry of Blows here, at first level, a monk can make a Flurry of Blows as a full attack action. With Flurry of Blows, the monk can make one additional attack at the highest attack base bonus. So it's like an extra attack. Now, again, it's only a D6 because that monk can't swing a two-handed sword or, a maul or something else that's really powerful. But that D6, then get that extra attack, that makes the monk more powerful. That then stacks as they grow. So if you look down here, at 11th level, a monk can make an additional attack at the highest base attack whenever he makes a Flurry of Blows. This stacks with the first level, so they start adding more and more attacks as they level up.
So here's the thing. Castle Crusades, they kind of stay away from, it's not just the monk, they kind of stay away from the idea of a separate power source like key points and such. But I mean, even in the description, it's, what is it? Or in their purpose, monks seek a perfect balance between physical strength and mental control of the body. When in unison, the monk has achieved the perfect, unbeatable weapon. But the path to attain this state is difficult and exhausting. Only those with great stamina and fortitude achieve it, which is where the Constitution portion of it comes.
All right. So how does every time we talk, Rob, this turns into either an addition fight or a version fight? But let's go for the truly exemplary. Martial skill transcends the battlefield. It's a lifestyle. It's a doctrine. Robert? It's a state of mind. These warrior artists search out methods of battle beyond swords and shields, finding weapons within themselves just as capable of crippling or killing as any blade. These monks, so-called, since they adhere to ancient philosophies and strict martial disciplines, elevate their bodies to become weapons of war from battle-minded aesthetics taught to self-brawlers. Monks tread the path of discipline, and those with the will... Ergo, the will becomes an important piece to endure that path, discover within themselves not what they are, but what they're meant to be. So this is the whole idea of the monk here, is that's why they're the warrior of the mind. It's not just how they hone their body, but they literally tap into ki or wisdom or these pseudo-spiritual abilities, which are part of their power source.
Well, they kind of do the same thing. They just don't call it, they don't give it a name. To achieve a harmonious balance of mind and spirit, the monk must not be susceptible to wild urges, emotions, or other distracting mental conditions. The physical and mental harmony must be maintained in order to function at peak ability. To manage this, a monk will usually adhere to their code, master routines necessary to train the body and mind to work together, and undertake strict physical and mental regimens of purification required to achieve perfect control of the body.
Yeah, but so much about the body. It's not really hitting on the power of the mind. All right, so we have our best poll up ever right now. Wait, the best poll we've ever done on Blue Box right now. It's a very simple poll. Who's right, Rob or John? Vote in our poll now. You have just a couple of minutes. And while you're voting, let me show you some more cool stuff here. So with this Flurry of Blows, Stunning Fist at first level, the monk gains Stunning Fist as a bonus feat. At 4th level and every level after, the monk gains the ability to apply a new condition of the Stunning Fist. So at 4th level, they can make the target fatigued or sickened. At 12th, they can stagger the target. At 16th, they can permanently blind or deafen the target. They have Unarmed Strike at 1st level as a bonus feat. Then they have Evasion at 2nd level, which lets them add their reflex saving throw against attacks that normally deal half damage. So this is super cool. So like a lightning bolt comes at you, you have to make a reflex save. Normally, if you make the save, you take half damage. If you're a monk with Evasion, you take no damage with that because you have that nimbleness, that ability. All right, whoa, this is close. We're 50-50, Rob. I'm about to get shut down on my own stream, I think. This is sad. All right, so...
I mean, it's interesting because they're very similar, and it's interesting to see where the different bonuses get applied. Like, you know, at 2nd level, monks get the ability to, and CNC get the ability to, like I said, deflect or dodge missile weapons once per round.
Right.
You know, they have actually. Did you mention does the 3.5 monk have a thing with where their unarmed attacks become effectively
yes
worth +1?
Yes, and so they like overcoming damage reduction and whatnot.
Well, or basically those things that can only be hit by magical weapons.
Yes, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah,
okay.
So yeah, they have that here. There's all that. There's some other cool stuff here I want to talk about because the only reason I know all this stuff is my daughter, who's now 24, played a monk in my home game, and she got that monk up to high level over 4 years, and she started throwing these things at me. So I know these because she played this monk.
I mean, it's interesting because like for Castle and Crusades, by level 7, a monk is moving at 50 feet per round, can feign death, can do a feign death, has a +3 versus all different kinds of saves. They call the ability Iron Body. Deflect missiles twice per round. They gain the secondary attack. Reduce fall damage by 25 feet. And heal themselves for 1d4 +1 per level a day.
I love that. That's at what level? You said 7?
1d4 +1 per level a day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So by 6th level here, or 4th level, they have things like Empty Body, which can assume ethereal state. So etherealness was used all the time in my home game. That is a super cool ability, and I role-played it so my monk player would stop and meditate, and the higher level they got, the quicker they could do this. When she first started doing this, I said this would take like a minute, where they had to meditate. The rocks would levitate off the ground, the body would begin to shake, molecules would vibrate, and they would become ethereal. As she got higher and higher levels, she could do this more quickly, almost instantaneous by the time she was like 12th, 14th level. Then you have, she didn't use those key range. Let's go down to the 6th level stuff. Really popular at 7th level, Formless Mastery. Use this all the time. A monk with this ability varies his style, never repeating the same move twice. As long as he does not possess any style feat, the monk can spend 1 point from his key pool, so they get a separate key pool, like a mana pool. If you would think of a mage, they might have 6 key points or 8 key points they can apply against it, and they can use a point from that key pool as an immediate action to gain the following against opponents in the stance of style. So a dodge bonus to AC, a circumstance bonus on attack rolls, and then at 8th level, Abundant Step. That's basically Dimension Door. So at 8th level, my monk could do Abundant Step and would have essentially Dimension Door. Again, this idea of the mind, psionics. It's really psionics adapted to 3.5, which is why I think you and I should really do a good show on psionics.
Oh, yeah.
And then one of the main ones that got used all the time was this one right here, Insightful Wisdom. With this ability, using 2 key points, the monk could give an immediate action to another ally within 30 feet with just the right word of advice to prevent disaster. What that allowed any of the allies to do was re-roll a single attack roll or saving throw. So this came up all the time in our game. You have to make a saving throw to avoid falling in the pit. So-and-so misses the roll. They're about to fall in the pit. Insightful Wisdom. The monk then is using a word of caution. It's like many of these other aiding abilities that you see in the game, and that would allow the falling player to re-roll. Now, if they failed in the second roll, they still fall in the pit, but that was a fun key power that got used quite a bit.
So let me ask you a question. How many of these, because I'm not familiar. 3.5, my knowledge is whatever games I've played in yours, as far as like one shots and such. How many of these abilities did they actually get, or versus having to choose?
All right, so these are like cleric spells.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have access to all of them when they hit that level, but then they have a limited key pool.
Key pool. Okay.
Right.
I got you.
Yeah, so they draw from the key pool against these skills or abilities. Adam, Jerry, you said John's ours. I didn't even see the result of the poll. Did I win? Did I lose?
No, tie.
Oh, it was a tie?
Yeah,
oh,
it was a tie.
Okay, well.
Tie goes to the visitor.
It does. All right, Robert wins. Tie goes to the visitor every time. Win jump. So anyway, point being, let me close this out and go back here to Bruce Lee. So, whatever your vision of the monk, I love the idea of the warrior who can be compassionate, connected to nature, could even be pacifistic. Right? So decides not to engage in combat when not necessary. Embrace whatever vision you want for your character, and then work with your DM. I think the most important thing I would want to tell to any DM or player would be to go back to the original Dragon Magazine article I was showing earlier and say, let me pull that back up. If you have a player that comes to you and says, I want to play XYZ class, but I want to pull in 1E ideas, 2E ideas, 3 ideas, or Unearthed Arcana, or Dragon Mag. Don't fight them. These can all be balanced, and they can all be made fun. I think this monk, just as the Cavalier and the Barbarian in the older editions, is so much more fun and powerful than what I see in 5e, as an example, which is very much vanilla. And I don't want to make this an edition war. I like my players having things they want to play, and not everyone has to have exactly the same balance. You can grow that balance or change it based on how you play and what you've chosen. Rob, I'm going to give you the final word.
You brought up Cavaliers, which is a little... every time I hear Cavalier, I just keep hearing Len Lakofka's voice say, "What about the damn horse?" But
wait! Len's, of course, as he is in all, Len is in this module this Dragon Magazine as well. Let me find it. Hey, Rob. Thank you for saying that. He is. Where's it at? Where's it at? And you have to love all these articles. me find it here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I should have bookmarked it. I didn't. But yeah, Len Lakofka is mentioned in this one, as he's mentioned in so many. And then as you get to the end, like, you get modules in these too. So like Dragon Magazine 53 has this really cool module called the Garden of Nefarin. And this includes several pages, maps, NPCs. This is all in just one Dragon Mag. Here are the maps. They harken back to the old graph paper days. This is how I learned to map dungeons. We've talked about this. The S's for secret doors, the trap symbols, the pits. And then coming down, more. I mean, it's fantastic. Really, really fun to dive through these, and you can get so many ideas for your game, and you can just sort of amend them and change them as you wish to. They can be so much fun to add to your game. There it is. Just a door? Not anymore. Liamon's Tiny Hut by Len Lakofka, Dragon Mag 53. Pull this up on the Anon Archive. It's so much fun. Go ahead, Rob.
No, it's just always good seeing what do you call it, Len stuff.
Yeah.
How to give disease. there's a title for you. How to give disease a fighting chance.
How to give disease a fighting chance.
Quick! Make sure you don't have an all paladin party.
Exactly, with cure disease. And then at the end, let me skip down. I like seeing the articles and then the ads as well. You know, all these companies that are now long gone, many of them overseas. You have Casium, Thieves World. What a great setup, based out of Albany, California. We still talk about Thieves World today. Raul Partha, Grenadier is in here. Let me see who else I'm missing. There's Grenadier. Aftermath. And then, of course, at the end, you always have these stupid cartoons. And I like this one right here. My Loyal Retainer. Wah, wah, wah. All right. You get it, Rob? I know. That's terrible. So you can get this all Tropico Thunder on Anon Archive. Anon Archive, yeah, there's the link right there. Thank you. It was down for a bit, but I believe it's back up because I pulled this magazine down today. And they have all of these up there. So much content. Hey, Sam, good to see you as well. So, Rob, back to you. I'm sorry. I said I gave you the last word and I cut you off. So you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's a class that was never one of my really go-to classes. But I mean, for for the later versions, and especially for Castle Crusades, it's a very, very interesting class to watch in action as a castle keeper, because they can move. Their ability to move really far distances and cover a lot can make for, as a castle keeper, can make for very amusing moments, because they can get themselves into a lot of trouble very quickly. Very quickly, and can really change the balance of a game, which is it's fun. You know, they are in many ways a blend of other classes, and if you got a player that's played it all, done it all, and they want something different, the monk can be a fantastic class for them to play. So. With that said, let's talk about the upcoming streams. We have a one-shot this weekend, I believe, Robert. On Sunday, you're running that. And anything you can tell us about the one-shot? As I mentioned in Discord, it will be Castle Crusades. I am looking for players. Priority will be given to those. That's not to say if you've played before, don't apply, but priority is going to be given to those who have not yet played in one of these games. It will be pre-gens. You do not have to have any previous experience. And I'd like to thank Chris. I don't think he's on, but Chris Carson, who mentioned the fact that yes, you do need a microphone and camera to be in the game.
Oh, that's how technical Chris is. He's just like that.
But yeah. So I mean, listen, we always have fun with these one shots. I love running them for people. If you're interested, let me know. Amanda, Miss Unicorn Painting, is also helping me out and gathering people, because I've got kind of a odd work week. But we will be 1:30 Central on Sunday as normal. Yes, it must be an and.
Love it, love it. And then, of course, we'll be back with Greyhawk Awakening on Tuesday, and you're not going to miss what's happening with Rasmus. Rasmus took a nasty crit, so it was a nat 20. It was a dirty 18 on the die, and that was enough to confirm the crit. That's how we do it here. And then I won't tell you what I rolled, but I will reveal it on Tuesday. You go to percentile dice, and I will tell you it was definitely more than 50. Substantially more than 50 on the percentile dice. Rasmus saw the blade sink into his shoulder, blood spurt out, and we stopped the stream there, and we'll resume that on Tuesday night. And then we'll have our Wednesday LMA next week, and then we'll be coming back with Tears of Aird the following Tuesday, which will be our session 1 after our session 0 this weekend. So lots of fun stuff coming up here. What's it'll be oh no Josh, no, you know what, we're gonna shock the world. You're gonna see the Steelers come into Cincy, and Mitch Trubisky is going to change the game, and the defense is much better than we were last year, my friend. Adding Ogunjobi, we have Alalu back and healthy. Our defense has been retooled. Najee is ready to go. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but the smackdown is getting put on Cincy this weekend. I'm very sorry, Josh. Removed his arm. No, don't assume you know. His arm, it may well be removed. But just hang on. You don't know what's going to happen. So tune in on Tuesday night. And Rob, any other things you'd like to mention before we go ahead and raid into Jay?
Oh boy. No, I mean,
VGHC again. You have 2 streams. Let's make sure we get those in. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, Friday night of Virtual GreyhawkCon, September 30th. 2 slots open for White Plume Mountain at 11 p.m. Eastern. And Sunday morning, October 2nd, I will be running Shadows of a Green Sky, also CNC, at 7 a.m. Eastern. So, yeah, if you want to play in a stream game, you want to play in Virtual GreyhawkCon, please. I've got 2 slots available in each, and I would love to fill up so I can start passing out the info.
Yeah, please do that. Join our Discord, bump in there if you're not already, and you can get signed up for all this. Pat, never try to win against John. He tends to rip off arms when... No, that is not true. That is so... I'm a benevolent and kind DM. I don't know how this keeps getting propagated. I am not that guy. And then Sam said his arm can be better than the other one. Oh, you know what, Sam? Yeah, well, just tune on Sunday or Tuesday. You'll see. And yes, we are saying, Scott, give monks a chance. Just give the monks a chance. I hope you guys enjoyed it tonight. I know it was a little bit of a shorter stream, but I thought it was fun. Robert, as always, you are the best, my friend. Even when we fight and argue, I love arguing with. There's no one I would rather argue with than Robert.
I appreciate that, John.
All right, we're raiding into Jay, and as we kick off, we have one question for you. If you're watching tonight and you haven't followed, if you're a follower who has not subbed, or you're a sub whose sub has expired, we have one question for you tonight. What are you doing? Come on, give us a follow, give us a sub. No, you know what, Jerry? I have an idea for all those advantages. Don't think I don't know what. No, I don't lose anything given to me by the chatters. All of that will come. I just picked. Thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. Rating J now in 3, 2, and